Hi, Brian King here. Tried this a few minutes ago out at my front porch where it's beautiful weather, but some guy decided to fire up a weed whacker, so I'm trying this again. It's the end of my day now, very busy day at that, and starting to wind down. But there's one thing I just really had to put out there today to share with you. Hey, Phoebe, thanks for finding me again. I've received numerous emails today from a few clients and from some other people who really seem to be caught up in everything that isn't working. And I'm not to say that there are some things that really, hey there, Roseanne, there are some things that can really just fall out of the sky and kick your ass. I'm not going to deny that. Your kid has a meltdown at school or has some real behavior issue, and it's maybe the 10th time this month that it's happened. I remember those days from when my oldest was younger and I was being called from the school at least 3 times a week. Sometimes I had to go pick him up. Sometimes I had to spend half an hour talking him out from underneath the desk in a conference room where he'd hidden after running from the classroom because he had a panic attack. And I remember all of these days. So I can really relate. And as I disclosed on Facebook this morning, I've had to deal with depression and anxiety my entire life. There were times where I was suicidal, where I was Mr. Negative. I saw counselors as a kid who kept referring to me as my own worst enemy because I could find plenty of things to be miserable about on the nicest day of the year. So I'm speaking from experience here when I tell you what I decided to share today. And that is when people fail to count their blessings and say, well, there's nothing to feel good about. This typically comes from a mind that's taking quite a bit for granted. Whenever you ask somebody, hey, what's new? Nothing. Same shit, different day. My follow-up question to them is, really, what things are you taking for granted? Is it the roof over your head? The food in the fridge? The fact that you woke up this morning? Your kids are healthy? There's a lot of stuff we take for granted. And we forget to consider those things when the shit hits the fan, so to speak. People that can get really, really bogged down in their depression are counting the things that aren't working. And they're forgetting to count the things that are. Because typically, as overwhelming as the negative things can be, sometimes it's a matter of finding one thing that's very, very special to keep you from drowning. Let me offer you this metaphor. I really love deer. There's just something about deer that appeal to me. I find them graceful and beautiful. And when we drive past a forest preserve, I look out the window, if I'm the passenger, not if I'm driving, and I see if I can spot a deer. And sometimes I do, and I get giddy. I think it's the neatest thing in the world. But here's the thing. I don't look at the one deer in the vast field and say, one deer, good as that. I could piss all over that experience if I wanted to. I could look at it and say it's not good enough. I could say, oh, fine, one deer. We came all this way and there's one deer. Okay, deer, where are your buddies? Huh? Come on, give me a show. What did I come here for, all this way for? For one deer, please. Let's say you're out in the middle of a field. You saw grass, you saw weeds, then one beautiful flower is right there in the middle. Are you going to say, one flower, really? Yeah, it's cute and all, but I'd be much happier if there was a bunch that I could rip up and take home and stick in a vase so they could die in 5 days. You see what I'm getting at here? It's really easy to discount those beautiful things simply because we are minimizing them, taking them for granted, not seeing them for as significant as they are. And as somebody who lives with depression and anxiety daily, not that it overwhelms me, because I've learned over the years how to train my focus so that I don't get overwhelmed by the waves of negative thoughts, that I'm able to look at the one deer in the field, the one flower in the meadow, and give it my attention and be grateful for it, and realize that the exception is sometimes the most exciting part of my day. Even though a large part of my day may be very difficult, may be very demanding, could give me plenty of reasons to be pissed off and miserable and depressed. If I can find one glimmer that I can say, you know what? I could allow myself to dread all this crap, feel bad about it because it happens more often than I would like it to. Or I could consider this diamond in the rough, this one little thing, and say, you know what? If there's one deer in this field, if there's one flower in this pasture, then that means there's the potential for more. I'll be grateful for this one, and I will be eagerly awaiting the moment when I see others. And yeah, we can't control whether there's a deer, we can't control whether there's a flower, but we can control the things that we give credit to in our life that we otherwise take for granted. It's so easy to get caught up in all the crap, folks. It's so easy. You know, when you think about it, what does it take to grow weeds? Do you have to water them? You have to fertilize them? No, they just show up. Why? Because they're weeds. It's like negative thoughts. They are self-reproducing without any help. Being positive, that's where the effort is. And often, what it takes to grow positive things is attention. Paying attention. Giving attention to the things that you otherwise take for granted. And when you feed them with your attention, they tend to show up more often. You tend to realize that even on your toughest days, there are reasons to smile, reasons to be grateful, plenty of blessings to count. So if you've had a very, very tough day and you feel like, man, you're embarrassed by your kid's behavior, you're upset because you fought with your wife for the fourth or fifth time this week, you're wondering when it's going to end, why do things have to be so rough? If those are the things you're counting, yeah, life is going to feel like it sucks half the time. But I'm encouraging you to find a little balance. That there are always things out there that are positive, even if there are one. If you can find one, you can find others. And like I said at the beginning, I'm somebody who's speaking from experience. You know, I've got a physical disability that has me in pain every single day. In fact, when I'm done with this, I'm going to put my very swollen and painful legs up and rest them. I deal with ADHD and dyslexia. I've got 3 special needs kids. You know, one thing I haven't shared is I just found out about a month or so ago that I have kidney disease. And I need to have some tests and possibly some surgery so that I don't end up needing a kidney transplant in a couple years. Okay? So when it comes to somebody who has a lot of shit in their life, I get it. But I don't focus on that stuff. Because that's not what I want the focus of my life to be. I want the focus of my life to be gratitude. I want it to be positivity. So I count the multitude of blessings that I have on a daily basis. And I want to invite you to do the same. You know, some people might be saying easier said than done, easy for you to say. Yeah, it's easy for me to say. Not always easy to do, but it's worth it if you learn how. And if you want to learn how, I'm happy to teach you. Just send me a private message. We'll find some time to talk. So I hope this has been helpful for you. April, Lori, Alyssa, Sandra, Dan, and all you other awesome people that showed up today. I'm so grateful for you. I hope you know that. And please think of somebody that you can share this with who could really benefit from this message, and make sure they have a watch. And now I'm going to put my feet up and take a breather. And I hope you have some time to take care of yourself as well. This has been Brian. We'll talk again soon.